Ready for a deep dive today. We're diving into Taiwan's aging population. You sent us some interesting excerpts from the Taiwanese government, a white paper on an aging society,
Right.
and a presentation that goes with it.
Yeah, definitely. A hot topic everywhere these days. But what makes Taiwan so interesting is just how fast it's happening there.
Yeah, we're talking faster than
Sure.
you can finish a bowl of beef noodle soup at lunchtime.
Almost that fast.
Yeah.
The white paper uses some pretty serious terms, actually. It says Taiwan's going to become a super-aged society.
Okay.
That means more than 20% of the population will be 65 or older. And get this, by 2036, it's projected to be ultra-aged. 28%, 65 or older.
Wow, some serious milestones there. When you think that by 2036, kids who are in kindergarten now will be graduating university and entering this totally different world, what's causing this really fast aging process?
It's a few things, actually. Like a lot of developed countries, Taiwan's birth rate has been dropping. But what makes Taiwan stand out is how fast it's happening. It's even faster than the European Union.
That's interesting. You think of the EU as being ahead of the curve on these things.
Yeah.
So we're looking at fewer people working a larger, older population. That's not good for the economy, is it?
Yeah, it's a common worry. But here's where it gets interesting. While the challenges are real, and we'll get to those, the white paper really stresses the huge economic potential of an aging population.
Okay, now you've got my attention. I'll admit, I was thinking more strain on resources. How does this opportunity angle work?
It's about perspective. Think about it. As people age, their needs change, different products, services, housing, even entertainment. This creates a huge market full of potential.
A light bulb just went off. New needs mean new demands, which means new markets. It's like a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs.
Exactly. The white paper calls this the silver industry, and it's not small. We're talking healthcare, biotechnology, social services, all set to grow as the needs of a larger aging population grow.
So not a burden on the economy, but a silver lining. Literally, give me some examples. What does the silver industry look like?
Well, the white paper highlights the European Union as a great example. In 2015 alone, the 50-plus demographic spent a massive 3.7 trillion euros. That's almost 30% of the EU's whole GDP. They're a powerful force.
Wow, 3.7 trillion euros. That's not chump change. That's serious spending power. How does this global trend apply to Taiwan specifically? We're dying to know.
That's a great question, and one the white paper addresses directly.
So we're back diving deeper into Taiwan's aging population. The EU is a pretty exciting example of a silver industry booming. But what about Taiwan? What makes it a good place for this?
That's where it gets really cool. The white paper, and this is important for you, it points to Taiwan's tech sector as a real difference maker. Imagine what happens when you combine Taiwan's tech skills with what an aging population actually needs.
Right now that you say it, it seems like a perfect match. We're talking about big advancements in things like telehealth assistive technologies, even robots that can help with elder care. Taiwan could be the world leader in silver tech, couldn't it?
You're getting it. The white paper really highlights telehealth as a potential game changer, especially with Taiwan's really good digital infrastructure and everyone being online. Think about it. Remote patient monitoring virtual consultations. These could be huge in rural areas where it's hard to get specialized care.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's all about using the strengths they already have to meet these new needs. But it's not just about creating new stuff. Existing industries will have to change too, won't they?
Totally. Think about tourism, for example. Imagine trips designed for seniors that include things like mobility needs, dietary requirements, even cultural things that generation likes.
I can see the brochures now. Temples and Tai Chi tours. Taiwanese food for experienced tastes. The possibilities are huge. But while this all sounds amazing, the white paper did mention some potential problems too.
Yeah, let's talk about that. A rapidly aging population, while it does mean opportunities, also means a bigger need for healthcare, pensions, and social services. These are expensive things that can be hard on any government's budget.
Totally. And with fewer people working and paying into those systems, could it all become too much?
It's a good question, and one the white paper doesn't ignore. It specifically talks about the pressure on Taiwan's national health insurance system, which, as you know, gives everyone health care coverage.
Right. It's an amazing system.
Yeah.
But with more people needing more care, are we looking at a healthcare crisis in the future?
Crisis might be too strong a word, but the white paper does say that without careful planning and some changes, this system could be under a lot of stress.
So what are some of the solutions they're thinking about? What needs to happen to make sure those resources are there for everyone in the future?
Well, first, the white paper says the healthcare system needs to be more efficient. This could be things like making administration simpler, using technology to cut costs, even trying out different ways of giving care.
So it's about working smarter, not harder, making sure those resources are used in the best way.
Yes. And it's not just about changing the current system. The white paper also says they need to get funding from different places. This could be encouraging more private investment in healthcare, or maybe public-private partnerships to share the responsibility.
So it's a multi-pronged approach to a complicated problem. It sounds like Taiwan's really trying to stay ahead of this.
For sure. And this brings us to another really important part of the white paper.
Okay, we've talked about the economic opportunities with Taiwan's aging population and how things like healthcare might be strained. What else does the white paper focus on as we finish up our deep dive?
This is where the white paper goes beyond just numbers and money. It says that to really deal with an aging society, you have to get the social and cultural stuff right, too.
Now that you mention it, we haven't really talked about the human side of this. What's the white paper's take on that?
Basically, it's about building a society that doesn't just take care of its older people, but actually values what they contribute. We're talking about respect, inclusion, and making sure older adults feel like they have a purpose.
It's about recognizing that they're not just there to be taken care of, but that they're still active parts of society.
Right.
With so much to offer.
Exactly. And that's where the white paper's 4 key visions come in: autonomy, independence, integration, and sustainability.
Okay, I like it. Autonomy and independence seem pretty straightforward, giving older adults the power to make their own choices and stay independent for as long as possible.
For sure. But it's more than just individual choice. It's about making sure those choices are actually possible. The white paper talks about things like transportation, that's easy to use, affordable housing, and support systems in the community. These are super important for letting older adults stay in their homes and communities as they get older.
So you're creating an environment where they can actually be autonomous and independent. What about integration? That one's really interesting to me.
Integration is all about breaking down those barriers that sometimes exist between generations. It's about helping younger and older people understand and respect each other and have real connections.
Because, let's be honest, in a lot of places, those generations end up living pretty separate lives.
Exactly. And the white paper talks about some cool initiatives to change that. For example, there are supporting programs where older adults can teach younger people what they know.
I love that. It's like a two-way street of knowledge and experience. What else are they doing to mix the generations like that?
They're even looking into social housing, where different generations live together. Sort of a modern version of those multi-generational families you see in some cultures.
So instead of putting older people in retirement communities, you're including them in the heart of society. That's a great idea.
Exactly. And this focus on integration isn't just for cities. The white paper also talks about bringing new life to rural areas, which are often hit hard by aging populations. They want to create programs that attract young people to those areas, but you have collaboration and exchange between generations.
It's about connecting those generations and seeing the value that everyone brings. That's what I call a win-win. What about the last vision, sustainability? What's that all about?
Sustainability is what holds everything together. It's about making sure that all these programs, all these support systems, are funded well and organized in a way that lasts. Because none of this matters if it falls apart, right?
You got to make sure those resources will be there for future generations. It seems like Taiwan isn't just trying to change policies, but also how people think.
Definitely. And that's what makes this such an interesting topic. It's about understanding that an aging population isn't a problem to fix, but a chance to build a better, more inclusive society.
You've definitely given our listeners a lot to think about today. Any last thoughts as we wrap up?
The white paper is really clear about one thing. Building a good future as the world ages means everyone needs to work together. It takes individuals, communities, and policymakers using their strengths and addressing the needs of an aging population. It's tough for sure, but it's also a huge opportunity to redefine what it means to grow old in the 21st century.
Well said. This has been a really insightful look at this, and I hope our listeners are feeling as inspired as I am. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.